afternoon. Welcome to the Technology Source Virtual Roundtable. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon. Go ahead and enter in the chat box where you are joining us from today. We'd love to hear where you're joining us from. You can just enter that in our chat box and, okay, here they come. We see Whittier, LA, Oregon, San Francisco, Costa Mesa, California, Breckenridge, Colorado. All right, there's a lot of you. Thank you so much for being here this morning. We are just typing in the chat box where you're calling in from today or where you're joining us from today. So while we're letting our audience and attendees get into the virtual event here, hi in Euless, Texas. I have family there. Central Florida, good morning or good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us. All right. I see a lot of returning guests and a lot of first-time, attendees. Thank you for joining us. You are in the right place. This is the Technology Source Virtual Roundtable. Today we have a special guest who we will get to in just a moment. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sonia Moline, and I will be doing a little housekeeping in about 30 seconds while we give everybody just a little bit more time to get into the room here. Hi, another Colorado, another Southern California of long Los Angeles County beach cities. Oh, there's a lot of those. All right, I miss those Southern California beach cities. Those are so fun. Well, I am joining today from the Northern California mountains in the Tahoe National Forest. My name is Sonia Moline. I am the Vice President here with Technology Source, and to just start it off with a little bit of housekeeping, we do have everyone on mute to keep out the sounds of barking dogs, or in my region, it could be a snowplow, not today. And we also want your voice added to this virtual roundtable. So please do use that chat box if you want to just kind of chat with us. Or if you have a question about something that is being discussed today, enter that into the question and answers box, and we will do our very best to answer your question. In fact, we really want you to participate, so much so that our special guest, Masergy, has offered a $50 gift card to Amazon to one lucky winner. So at the end, if you have asked a question and we have used it on the event, we will put your name into this bowl. We will draw a name at the end, and that could be you who wins that fun prize. Just something to keep it fun. So without further ado, I want to get started on the topic of the day, and that is our work from home, work from anywhere, work from not in the office teams, and we would like to kind of just delve right into that topic. So one of the things that for me, it always brings up is my time as a IT director. When I was an IT director, we had about 65 in-office employees and about 25 work from home staff. We even struggled with what to call them. You know, there was the teleworkers, there was the remote workers, there was the, so that was even a struggle, and nobody really had a formal, way of how to call them. So that was kind of our first step when we went to write policies and procedures and, set up their work from home workspaces and their cybersecurity infrastructure and their telecommunications infrastructure. And as a new IT director in the industry of healthcare, it was quite a job. We're talking about highly compliant regulatory industry with lots and lots of moving parts and lots of high fines if you make mistakes. And there is still turnover, as well as, a diverse workforce and a need for accountability. So, no small task, but that was just what was on my plate, from day one. So, has a fortunate opportunity to be on the other side of the table, working to enable these workers and get them, productive and treated fairly and held accountable and compliant and safe. And so, some of that was just kind of new in that industry when I had started in 2012. But now we're looking at statistics that show, remote employees on average are going to stay remote for quite a while. And we're seeing, 40 minutes daily shaved off the commute time. We're seeing, since 2020, people have been meeting by video calls 50% more than they had prior to the COVID-19. During COVID-19, close to 70% of workers are working from home. And after COVID-19, 92% of people surveyed expect to work from home at least one day a week, with 80% expected to work 3 days a week from home. So that's a lot of people working from home. 23% of those surveyed said that they would take a pay cut to work from home permanently. People are saving on average close to $500 a month, and maybe that's part of it, working from home, which comes out to about $6,000 a year. And there's a mere 20 to 25% of companies that are paying the cost of things like home office furnishings and equipment and things like that. I've literally worked with clients who have completely shut down their offices, some of them paying upwards of $25,000 a month for premium, Class A office space that now they just don't have to pay for anymore. So it is the topic of our time, and I know a lot of us have seen conversations and talked about it, but what I think is cool today is that we have Masergy, and they have some pretty cool, innovative things to bring to the table today to talk about. So without getting too much into these gentlemen who we have here today, I did want to talk, just introduce them really quickly. So to my right, we have Franz. He serves as the Director of Solutions Engineering for the Western region. Franz Chavez is a part of the Masergy Solutions Engineering team, and since 2010, he's been there. He brings 44 years of technology experience, with the last 31 years focused on networking and systems infrastructure. Prior to joining Masergy, he's held engineering, operation, and leadership roles at companies small and large within IT, manufacturing, and service provider organizations. And Franz, you're dialing in today from Portland, Oregon, is that correct?
That is correct. Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Good to have you here today. And now we have, based out of Southern California, to my upper left here, we have Kevin Mcgee. Kevin is been working with Technology Source for a while, and we're excited to have him today. He's been in the industry for 13 years, and before coming to Masergy, Kevin has experience with Level 3, Verizon, and China Telecom. He's worked very closely with our valued partners, on behalf of Masergy. He has a vast knowledge in voice, network, data, hosted telephony, and of course, this topic of today, working from home. And next, and he's calling in from the OC. How are you today, Kevin?
Doing great. Thanks, Sonia. I appreciate it.
Great. And to my left over here, we have Lawrence. Lawrence Sanders is an engineer with 30+ years of telecommunications experience. He is highly skilled in the areas of problem solving with a significant breadth of telecom knowledge. He has been hand-selected through his career to resolve telecom issues from Air Force One at the Department of Defense, Joint Interoperability Test Command, JITC, and Microsoft headquarters. Lawrence has been part of the designing technical solutions teams for some of the world's largest companies, including Amazon, eBay, Microsoft Corporation, FedEx, Cisco, Oracle, and the Coca-Cola Company. His current discipline and responsibilities include hosted communications, SIP trunking Microsoft Teams, direct routing, omni-channel cloud contact center. The list goes on. And it looks like you, Lonnie, are calling in today from the Caribbean. Is that right? Or
Absolutely.
No, so you're in San Jose, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, we are so excited to have you here today. So Kevin, I will hand it off to you. Tell us what Masergy is doing to enable our work from home teams.
Yeah, no problem. So what we wanted to do first as part of our agenda today is really just set the stage of, giving you guys a overview of who Masergy is as a company first. And then we were going to take a deeper dive into our solution sets where we're addressing the remote workforce with Franz and Lawrence, two of our main product sets that we can help our customers with. So Can everybody see my screen, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome. So Masergy, we are actually 20 years old now. We've had proven, 20-year track record of financial success. We like to consider ourselves an engineering firm, and an engineering firm that operates a single autonomous global network as well, with trailblazing SLAs, really the industry standard for what we can provide a customer as far as uptime goes. Also, we've scored a 70 plus in our NPS score. And what that means is it's a net promoter score. And it's really the customer's evaluation of what their experience looked like with Masergy throughout the process of test and turn up, right? And here's just a look at our global coverage. So like I mentioned, we have a single global autonomous network that we operate. It's built completely from the ground up, so not built through any type of acquisition. We operate our network services in more than 150 countries now and counting. And we can also provide you a direct path to the PSTN in a few different flavors in about 25 countries and counting as well currently. And here's our three pillars that we focus on from a product set. And Franz will take a deeper dive into the SD-WAN portion here and mainly the work from anywhere a product set. But we like to call it connect, protect, and collaborate. Meaning connect, we operate that global autonomous network with 3 different flavors of SD-WAN that we can provide our customers. We also have a ton of collaboration tools, including a hosted unified communications product, along with offering our customers a traditional SIP product. And where Lonnie will take a deeper dive into as well is our Microsoft Teams integration. Also, security is always top of mind. Operating a global network, we have a plethora of tools to help maintain security posture. Detection and response, security analytics. We really give you full visibility into what your network and security posture looks like. We also operate 3 SOCs globally as well. So, and as I mentioned, our SLAs are really industry standard. A lot of companies out there are really chasing the 5 nines, the 6 nines. We just put it out front, right? We're going to give you 100% in sequence packet delivery per site. And that's from DMARC to DMARC as well. We also give proactive credits on SLAs. So if there is any outage, which we don't expect, but we proactively credit our customers without them contacting us because we have full visibility into the network, which just makes it easier for our customers and saves a ton of time. And for the past 5 years, Gartner has recognized us for our SD-WAN product. We've been listed as visionaries the past 5 years. And as you notice, we keep on inching closer and closer to that leader quadrant. But we operate about 100 or 700 employees currently. So we feel very proud of what we've been able to accomplish, especially considering everybody in the leaders quadrant is really giants in their industry, at least a minimum of 10,000 employees. As I mentioned earlier, our NPS scores, this is what our customers are, this is their evaluation of us post turn up and install. And this is how we rank against our competition in the industry, which goes a long way and goes to show our customer service experience is top notch. And here is a list of just a couple of our world-class customers that we have earned their trust, that are really leaders in their specific verticals, such as LinkedIn, IBM. They trust Masergy with their network because of what we provide from the customization and the engineering standard that we present to all our customers. And so why Masergy? Yes, we operate a global single autonomous network. We have layered in collaboration tools that are top notch as well. And as I mentioned, that unparalleled customer experience, which is a result of our NPS scores. But really, it comes down to the partnership and the engineering aspect that we bring to the table. Like I mentioned, we are an engineering firm, and that comes first. We try to design a solution stack that really fits the customer's needs without any type of cookie cutter type product sets. So I hope that helps everyone understand, who we are, from a very, very high level. But what I'll do now is I'll hand it off to Franz Chavez, who will take a deeper dive into a couple of the flavors of Sd-Wan, and more specific, the work from anywhere product set that we've been able to generate. So Franz, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Kevin.
No problem.
And let's see, I almost invariably get this share backwards. So bear with me while I get set up here and share my content out. You have to stop sharing, Kevin. Kevin, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah,
you have to stop sharing. It won't let me share otherwise.
Okay. I don't know why it won't let me stop, but it won't let me stop sharing the screen. Sony, can you help us out here?
Our first technical difficulty.
Yeah. All right. I will share my screen, and I think that will take over the screen share.
I got it. I got it.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the offer, Sonia. I guess we're settled though.
Perfect.
All right. So, and are you seeing my content nice and clean, or are you seeing the screen with all the notes?
It looks good. And thank you.
I'm so pleased. Okay. So normally I roll this out in a little bit different form, but we have a pointed focus today to scrutinize solutions for the redistributed workforce that we are living evidence of today. While I run through this material, I would be beholden to you if we could keep it interactive. Feel free to interrupt me with questions. Sonia, I think you're watching chat, so whatever. Yep. Yeah, please don't hesitate. I'm happy to stop and dig into whatever you guys would like to explore further. We will likely not be able to cover as much as I would love to cover with you today, but we are always available to set up follow-up meetings and dig deeper into our solution stack. Returning to the Work From Anywhere suite, so we recently launched a suite of services to respond to this new reality that we've all lived for the last year. The Work From Anywhere suite, and it has two constituent components. There is Sd-Wan Home and what our marketing department tagged as On the Go, which is really to say it's a mobile solution. So the Home is a hardware-based solution. We deploy a FortiGate firewall licensed for Sd-Wan services, security services, whatever else you choose to subscribe to. We ship it to the client's work location, whether that's a home or a remote office of some sort. And it's a plug and play, zero touch provisioning. You plug it in, it phones home, gets its download, and you are up and running. So you can run this in the context of, for example, if you deploy it at your residence, it'll stand up in parallel with your home network, separate and apart from it, so that you have a secure extension of the corporate WAN into your workspace at your residence. You can take advantage of a number of different adjunct services with this. Could be as simple as, hey, I'd like to do wireless duty for me as well, so I can, I don't have to be plugged into a LAN port. Or, hey, I want to have a UC endpoint, and Lawrence will talk more about this as we move through the presentation. So boom, plug in your IP phone into one of the access interfaces on the device. Or you know what, I've got a good solid network connection at my residence, but I'd like some insurance. I'd like you to protect me a little better. How about a wireless XG backup? All of these things are possible, just depending on what the client's posture, what posture the client's looking for in terms of resiliency and security. on the go is really, it's an enhanced, we've offered SSL VPN services for remote workers for as long as we've been in business. And most of Masergy's workforce is remote, and we have all used it for years and years and years. What we've done in the past year, however, is to enhance it with a couple of different security products, a couple of different options, as well as some cloud-based management and sandboxing tools. So, this whole thing can be anywhere from, I want all the users to have the free client and aggregate to my cloud firewall and it's game on. Or it could be, hey, I want all of my users to have an endpoint management service associated with this remote worker application with the Forta client. So we can deploy it with an endpoint management service. What an endpoint management service does is it allows you to enforce corporate security policy. It's not a detection and response mechanism. It is a policy enforcement mechanism. So you make sure that when the client boots up their machine, for example, with my machine, as soon as it boots up, it attaches to VPN, which, trust me, that is a best practice. You never want to be open and unafraid on the public internet if you can avoid it. So the endpoint management service can enforce that sort of a practice where it automatically establishes a VPN tunnel as soon as it boots up. Then you can also take advantage of SOC monitoring, right? Where you're fundamentally deploying a thing called threat monitoring and response for a remote worker. So now, in addition to whatever other security functions you may have natively, it will also include eyes on glass in our security operations center. So now you've got a live human looking for anomalous behavior and alerting you to anything that constitutes a threat. And that kind of goes hand in hand with endpoint detection and response, which is not just the policy enforcement side of things, but that is the active threat mitigation, threat detection and mitigation tool that you can subscribe to, which includes a cloud-based sandbox function. So it can isolate and insulate the user from further harm.
Franz, it looks like we got a couple of questions in the box too.
Okay.
First one is,
it,
what hardware do you use for SD-WAN integration?
And that one's from Walter G, and I'll put that name in the bowl. So
thank you. And great question. So we offer SD-WAN solutions in a number of different variations, but they are all based on FortiGate infrastructure. So we elected to standardize on the FortiGate for applications well beyond just SD-WAN, but that was one of the factors we considered when we chose that. So, and what I mean by this is, whether you want a tunnel endpoint for a network as a service connection to get, to leverage the internet to reach our private core, that's the most simple permutation. We deploy a Fortinet for that, a FortiGate firewall. If you need a managed router, we'll deploy a FortiGate. If you need a managed firewall, we'll deploy a FortiGate, and we just license and configure based on the client's intended purpose for that chassis. So it can be anywhere from as simple as an IPsec tunnel endpoint to as sophisticated as a fully featured high availability SD-WAN infrastructure set with security enhancements and all the bells and whistles you could want to provide the most appropriate and secure experience.
Great. We have another question. This one's from John B. He says that Fran said SD-WAN home can add a 4G to supplement a good home internet connection. Can SD-WAN home help someone with a weak or poor home internet connection?
Not really, because at the end of the day, the mechanisms for handling that sort of thing, where you have line conditions that degrade below an acceptable level, would require a second circuit. So unless your home user has two circuits available to them at their location, that would be a difficult thing to fix. Now, you look at mechanisms that are, fairly standard with SD-WAN, such as forward error correction. That involves streaming packets out to circuits. So unless you've got that dual transport, you really do need a suitable quality line. That being said, I will tell you, I work on this solution day in and day out, every single day for the last year at my home, and it works brilliantly. So.
Okay, and any other gear than Fortinet? That one's from William B.
So we standardize on Fortinet gear. I mean, we do offer other solutions, but in the context of an SD-WAN deployment, it's all FortiGate firewalls and FortiSwitch switching modules if you require them. But no, it is all Fortinet, all folds together under one seamless administration interface. It's very clean, very effective.
Okay. Well, we have probably 30 more questions, but we'll let you keep going a little bit here. Then we'll kind of dig back into them. Sure.
So again, I've kind of touched on both elements of the solution. The home, basically, take it home, plug in your broadband. It'll stand up again, and as I think I already pointed out, it'll stand up in parallel. I think one thing I did want to point out here, hang tight for just a sec. So we also offer Cisco Webex for collaboration, and we're distilling down to leveraging a Webex application for instant messaging and presence, video calling, all sorts of things. That's replacing the tool that we used to leverage for our unified communications clients. But I'll defer to Lonnie to speak to that. Endpoint detection and response, which is Sentinel-1 in our case. We use for endpoint management for the policy enforcement component, we're using a native Fortinet service. But for endpoint detection and response, we found that what we believe to be the best in class and the best and most interoperable to be the Sentinel-1 solution. There are a number of different bundles that you can leverage. So again, that first column, the on the go, is the software only permutation with the security options we talked about. The work from home, you've got options for Wi-Fi, for local area network, wireless service, for 4G, for resiliency's sake on the WAN side. And then you can further layer on unified communications service with that. And we bundle it up with an IP phone for your use. I'm going to, at this point, I think, stop and no, you know what? Let me cover a couple more things. So these slides, and I'm going to blow through them right now because of trying to preserve some time for Lonnie to speak his piece. But I did want to talk about the security a little bit and also some of the additional software tools that are available to you through our web portal. So again, these appliances are natively security appliances, so you can add a unified threat management license and you have an enterprise posture. That being said, if you add on additionally the threat monitoring and response, now you have eyes on glass 7/24/365 for monitoring and incident response. And that, of course, is a great segue to the full MSS or managed detection and response practice, where there's really, it's pretty much all the security features you might want. I'm going to cut through this a little more briefly. Here's another interesting enablement. This year we launched an integrated SD-WAN orchestrator in our portal, which is to say that what typically with a managed services provider such as ourselves, where it's we can administer it, you can view, but you can't touch, we've kind of turned that up on its head. So we extended full admin privilege to the two suitably permissioned end users within our web portal. Now, it doesn't extend down to changing, IP addresses on interfaces and the stuff around, network connectivity and heartbeat. What it does, however, is allow the client to access and manage, if they want to, the routing and security policy that governs this solution set. That is a fairly singular level of enablement for a managed services provider. Typically, you don't get that if you've got somebody like us backing you up. Now, we remain, think of it as a driver's training car in a way, right? 2 steering wheels, we are your airbag. So if you do choose to administer and you commit an error and something goes horribly wrong, we'll be there to help bail you out. Or you can just leave it all to us and submit your request through the NOC. That's either way. So our portal, for anybody who's not familiar with us, our portal has provided our clients a measure of visibility and control that is difficult to find elsewhere. And by visibility, I mean both real-time and historical, and all the way up to layer 7. So you can analyze discrete application traffic. And in fact, we're now enhancing that with some predictive, some additional layer of analytics above and beyond what Sd-Wan routing policy will drive to give you a heightened view of performance of each of the discrete applications that you operate your business with. It's not generally available yet. That's coming in early April, but it's pretty impressive, and it's part of our AI Ops suite. AI Ops is this is a foundational tool for us. So we are on the march toward a thing called WAN edge autonomy. In other words, fully aware self-healing networks. AI Ops is foundational to that. Today, it gives indications within the portal to the engineers who are responsible for governing their company's services with us. In the future, it will be empowered and enabled to drive the changes that today it only recommends. So the client would be able to put some guardrails around it. When AI Ops picks up an anomaly or a fault or something, a trend that is indicative of an impending fault, it will, instead of just informing the client, it will take the action that the client has deemed acceptable and then inform the client that it's been done. It's really powerful stuff. We are about probably 15 months out from that level of enablement with this particular tool set. Shadow IT discovery, this is also a really big one I wanted to touch on just for a minute, because now there's no charge for this, but what this service does is it identifies, based on a signature base of about 3,500 different apps, it identifies every single application running in your environment. And if you look at the studies that are running out there today, about 35% of the horrible stuff that's going to happen is going to happen because somebody is operating, somebody's running an application in your trusted zone that you are not aware of as an IT leader. That's a significant number, 35% of breaches functionally, right? So what this does is it identifies all of those by known layer 7 attributes and allows you to classify and then build policy around what you've discovered, whether you choose to block, whether you choose to allow, but maybe limit the amount of bandwidth it can consume, whatever the case may be. These are the eyes that will give you visibility into what's running so that you can make an informed decision.
Question on these from William B. Are these something that you guys developed, or are these built outside of house?
Yeah, so the application base that we use to identify threats, that is native to Fortinet's operating system, but the tool that exploits it in the way we just talked about, so that it's presented here and threat factors and all of the presentation, that's a Masergy development.
Okay, great. And then a question on the SD-WAN services. Is it configurable easily? I know you said easily, but how easy? And I did see the dashboard. It looks nice and user friendly. But we had a question from Ed P. Ed P is in Papa.
Yeah, and easy is so subjective. It's a difficult question to answer, and I apologize. I wish I could tell you that my 7-year-old granddaughter could jump in there and use it. That would be a bald-faced lie. It does take some technical acumen. You would not. We typically recommend that the more skilled members of the engineering community within a client are enabled with that level. Everyone can look at it, but to manipulate policy, if you pull a wrong trigger in a routing policy, you could bring a network down. I mean, it's
Yeah.
serious
And that
enablement.
segues to Walter G, as in golf. Walter G, his question is, if customer chooses to manage their own devices, would you offer minimum training that they need to configure? And then it goes into a couple other questions, but that seems to segue well into that question.
That's a great question. It's one I particularly love. You know, your solutions engineers are really, we kind of pull a collateral duty of trainer. So we'll introduce you to the tool set, and we will offer guidance. There are also built-in tutorials, video-based tutorials that are in there. There's a lot of assistance with how to manage it, but it's not a one and done. You know, we don't train you once and say, hey, you've had your training, pal, we're done. No, it's let us know what you need, right? I mean, that's part of what you pay for when you do business with us.
Yeah, that's why it's managed, right? It's nice to have that. And then Harleen K, as in Kilo, says, how do you protect clients from phishing and other online threats, or do you?
Indeed, we do. So and that's the Unified Threat Management license that is available to you for any of the FortiGate deployments. So unified, I mean, look, proper security is usually a stack of things. We consider, if you're looking for an enterprise grade security posture, UTM is an absolute minimal level of enablement. You want that UTM license, that Unified Threat Management license. It buys you a lot of protection. That being said, there is no substitute for an informed community of users as well, right? I mean, there's, just like we'll train our community, our client community on the portal, companies and ourselves, you know, as trusted advisors, we are all motivated and oriented toward training the end user to protect themselves as best they can through their own behavior as well.
Yeah, and then Ed was just asking, Ed P was asking about how are all those services included, or are there extra fees based on the use of those services?
Great question. So Shadow IT Discovery and AI Ops, those are all included free services within our portal. Unified Threat Management is a license, and there is a retail, you know, implication there, but or commercial implication, but it is it's just not even a question in today's environment, right? If you're going to attach to a corporate network, you need to bring your A game for security.
Great. Well, we've got a lot more, but we'll let you gentlemen keep going on the presentation, and we'll try to get to all these.
Sonia, if you want to, you know, we can take some of these questions away if we have emails to respond. We can always do it after the fact, or we can set up follow-up meetings too. And I apologize for taking so much time, Lonnie. I'm so sorry for not leaving more for you, brother.
Well, yeah, and that's one thing I'd like to just plug right now is please join Technology Source to speak with these gentlemen again. This is hopefully not the first time that you'll have to speak with Masergy. The technology advisors that invited you work very hard to engage you in conversation, kind of skip the sales process and move right into talking to the smartest people that you want to talk to ask your questions. So that's what we do at Technology Source. So reach out to myself or any of the advisors that invited you today, and we'll set up these conversations with these gentlemen today. So yeah.
I'm all done. And Lonnie, I think I've left you 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, you've got time. You guys have some time, and we still have a lot of questions to get to, and we've got quite a few people in the drawing. So
perfect. Franz, do you mind?
I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir.
While we're waiting for them, I'm going to launch a poll. Go ahead and answer this poll. You have just a few seconds.
I love the mass confusion one.
We're going to take about 20 more seconds here. You guys are doing great. Look at all these answers. All right, so it's coming in so far, a little of everything. Nobody's really picking other. That's good. That always confuses me. I'm seeing a lot of work from home accountability, security concerns, mass confusion, one person, siloed communications, definitely. Compliance, there we go. You're speaking my language. Are you guys just doing that to to placate me? Because I think that's one of the hardest things to overcome is compliance. And then how many staff work from home? Wow, we've got quite a few. All right, I'm going to end polling in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, I will now share the results. So you should all be able to see them. It says attendees are now viewing the results, so it's working. It looks like poor compliance was the winner of the largest pain point for your teams at your organization, followed by, looks like just everything else was sort of equally annoying. Compromised security was up there. Next thing, it looks like about 41 to 75% of your staff are working from home now. And it was kind of equal, close to 76% or more, which would be like the majority of the staff. And then the next question was how many of the staff who are currently in the work from home role will continue to stay in the work from home kind of environment for the next 10 to 24 months. And it was about 26 to 50, so about half, I'd say would be there. Some were actually followed closely by 50 to 75%, and then more than 75%. So I will stop sharing the results now, but I thought that was just to get a check on the audience on how we're doing with this work from home stuff. We've got almost 20 minutes left, so Lonnie, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, thank you, Sonia. I appreciate that. So, folks, before I jump into the Microsoft Teams offering, I just want to make sure we touch base and make clear that we all are a full service voice solutions offering. So we offer everything from unified communications, which is your voice, IM presence management, virtual meetings, all that type of stuff that you guys are used to. We offer SIP trunking, which is connecting traditional on-premise PBXs with cloud-based VoIP services, if you will. So IP enabling your on-premise PBXs. We have two options for the Microsoft Teams calling plans. This is where our major focus is going to be today. I've got a couple slides to cover with that. And then we also offer a full complement of contact center as a service as well. And then we offer these all in a hybrid fashion, and I'll show you what that means here in just a second as well. Okay. All right. So let me go into the Microsoft Teams offering. So from a Microsoft Teams aspect, what we find is if you don't understand the basic Microsoft Teams ecosystem, the other two options are kind of confusing. So I'm going to start here. So this has to do with Microsoft Office 365 and the Teams environment, right, which most folks are familiar with. We find that 85% of all customers you talk to will have Teams, whether they realize it or not, or they're using it or not. And then some folks are trying to use that from a voice enablement standpoint, right? So if you look to the left of the cloud here, you'll see all the native Microsoft endpoints, everything from mobile devices, desktop, IP phones, things of that nature, right? Connected over to public internet into the Office 365 environment, right? Then someone comes along and says, hey, I'd like to be able to call Joe's Pizza Shack or add calling plans to my Microsoft Teams environment, right? Two things have to happen. One, you have to have a PBX to enable all the registration and functionality, if you will. So the way Microsoft does that, if you're on the E1 or E3 license, you have to add a PBX add-on, which has a list cost of $8. If you're on the E5 license, the PBX license is included in that, right? So you assign these per user, and then they have the PBX functionality as well. Then on top of that, you have to assign each user, just want to stress that per user, has to incur either a domestic plan or an international plan, right? So if you need to just call continental US, for example, you just have a domestic plan. If you're a poor person has to call internationally, you incur the $24 international plan cost. That makes sense, right? So the positive things here is this is all offered by Microsoft. It's all administered through their admin portal. it's a one-stop shop from a Microsoft standpoint. The not so positive things are it's on a per user basis. So every user that has to be make phone calls in this environment has to have this licensing scheme, right? So you can see this starts to be costly. And also, we all love Microsoft's world-class support organization, right? Calling in a Microsoft support is always lovely, but this would be fully supported by Microsoft. And you're also limited from the aspect of the global reach capabilities, which Microsoft only offers us in 10 countries currently. Okay, pretty straightforward. All right, so what options are out there, right? So from Microsoft's standpoint, they turn around and say, wait a minute. One, we're not good at doing PSTN termination. B, we don't want to be in the PSTN business. And C, a lot of folks already have their own carriers that they're using for other services and stuff. So how do we go about addressing that? So they came up with a concept called Microsoft Direct Route. What this effectively means is, you'll notice on the left-hand side, everything's still the same. I still have all the native clients and everything, still connecting over to public internet into the Office 365 environment. I still have my Microsoft PBX, but I want to bring my own carrier to the table. In this case, Masergy, from a SIP trunking standpoint, right? So the major advantages here is no longer is Microsoft responsible for your PSTN termination. In this case, it would be Masergy. You're going from a per user model on the previous screen to a concurrent call path model. So you can start to see big cost savings and things of that nature, right? We usually normally see at a minimum 25% cost savings from the previous model. Again, I want to stress that minimum. We see up to 90% cost reduction here, right? And then lastly, you're on Masergy's world-class support that Kevin spoke to. So that 70 plus NPS score for the last 4+ years, this is something else that you're in for here, right? Okay, and by the way, this particular solution right now is white hot in the industry. It's super easy for people to understand. They already are paying for Teams, whether they know it or not, and you can voice enable them for some concurrent call paths, basically. This is super white hot, especially from a work from home standpoint. Folks already had Teams, again, whether they knew it or not. They were working in offices yesterday. Now they're working in a work from home environment, right? So IT folks are, in some cases, surprised that they already have this. They voice enable it, and boom, they're already up for collaboration services from a work from home environment. Okay. All right. Option two. Option two says, hey, I love Microsoft Teams for its collaboration functionality, IM presence management, virtual meetings, all that type of stuff. But I just don't trust Microsoft with my calling plans, right? So what we offer here is you stay inside the Microsoft native interface. Where we allow you effectively what I gently referred to as a call launcher. We allow you to launch into our hosted UC license from the native client, right? So from here, you get the Masergy PBX and all the Masergy PSTN capabilities that we talked about. So you get the more extensible PBX, you get the more extensible countries in play, 10 to 25. The downside here is you're back to a per user model. So maybe not as cost effective, but you're fully on Masergy here from a support and calling aspect, right? Okay. And then lastly, we offer this all. So you guys saw all the voice services we supported in the first slide.
Hey, Lonnie, can I interrupt? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. There was just one question there. Are the calling plans all unlimited?
Yeah. So if you're talking about domestic US and Canada, yes. Or if you're talking in country, yes. So if you bought the service in, I don't know, Germany, for example, all in country would be unlimited. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then lastly, what I wanted to cover here is, and this is a huge selling point for Masergy and customers in general. No matter where you're coming from or going to, it's all of our same enterprise. So whether you come to us as a SIP trunking customer and you need to migrate to Microsoft Direct Route, or you've got some hybrid scenario where a particular business unit or customer or campus needs to stay on a hosted UC license, we can support all of these under the same enterprise. It's simply a trunk group change for us, right? So if you wanted to come to us and say, hey, what's our migration plan? If I'm a SIP trunking customer trying to get to Microsoft Direct Route, we could roll you over to SIP trunk. So just stay the same technology today, migrate as you see appropriate, once a week, once a month, once a site, per business unit, whatever you'd like to do. It's a simple trunk group change for us, right? Pretty straightforward. this is a huge compelling story for us. And we'll also offer this where if you come to us as a SIP trunking customer and you need to go here for an interim basis, and then in a month or two, you'd like to transition everybody to direct route, we're not going to make you re-sign a new contract or anything like that. We're simply going to migrate you as you see fit to meet your business needs, right? So move as you see appropriate.
Quick question, Lonnie, we have from William B. on what backbone does this network traverse?
Yeah, great question. So the one that Franz touched on and Kevin touched on as well. So that's Masergy's world-class network that gives you the 100% in sequence packet delivery, less than 1 millisecond of jitter across our entire network. You're talking about a network that was purpose built for real-time communications, right? So that's the backbone that we use.
Yeah, and just to add to that, so our network platform is a single autonomous system globally. So what that really means to the end user client is instead of going through a mishmash of acquired networks to get your packet from here to there, which is pretty much your standard carrier fabric, we are a single uniform platform everywhere in the world with a single QoS infrastructure set. And again, as Lonnie pointed out, we were purpose built specifically to carry high definition real-time application traffic at a time when that was very problematic. And it continues to be literally the highest performing service provider platform on the planet, hands down.
Yeah, to Franz's point, when you're talking about, there's a big difference if you sit back and think about it between a network that was purpose built for real-time communications versus uptime. There's a big difference between these two, right? One says, hey, I'm not a carrier grade product, I'm a commercial grade product. I need to get my POPs as close as humanly possible to you because that's how I make up for everything else, basically, right? Versus someone that's bringing a network to you all the way to whatever demarcation point that might be, and is giving you real-time communication support across that, right? There's a big, huge difference there. Okay, and then last slide, promise. We wrap all those voice services up under a single pane of glass for analytics and reporting. So all your MOS scores, CDRs, all that stuff is all present across all those voice services that we talked about, even in the hybrid environment, right? So folks that need visibility into that, right? Other than that, that's really all I had. Sonia, any questions?
Yeah, we've got a lot. So we'll just jump into some questions. Thank you guys for all of that. So these questions are kind of all over the board, so we'll have to just kind of piece them together as to where they belong. But I'll start kind of from the bottom, I think, and just work our way backwards to the beginning so that it's probably more relevant to what you were just talking about, Lonnie. Let's see. So you only support, this one's from Walter G as in golf. So you only support voice over IP via your own network, not through another network. Is that the case, or no, are there other networks that are supported? Great question, Walter.
Yeah, my apologies if I didn't touch on that. So we support whether you want to bring your own over the top, if you will, or you want to bring our own services in for that. So we support either. So we're IP agnostic from that standpoint. Specifically.
Good. And next question, this one is more about a specific product. So if it's more of an offline question, I find specific products tend to be kind of, it depends. But do you support Zscaler? And this is from Takuya N as in November.
That I can speak to that one.
Yeah,
we have no problem encapsulating traffic and shipping it to and from Zscaler. Piece of cake. Do it all the time.
Oh, cool. All right. Next question from Ed P as in Papa. What's the software-based VPN that you were talking about? Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Yeah, so look, there's a couple of ways with SSL that you can attach, okay? If you're doing just basic session management, then there's a free download. It's not a supported, but it's the Forta client fundamentally. So if you download the free version, all your clients just want basically a phone book and something they can click on instead of launching a browser and typing in an address, no problem, right? If you want to take it to the next level and you want that endpoint management service, it's still Forta client, but now it's a paid version of Forta client with some additional options embedded into it. Same thing with EDR. It's always going to be for the client with whatever other services licensed sitting behind it that are appropriate to the client's need.
Okay, and then we have a question about a specific network as I'm watching my network telephone pole swing out there in the wind. So if I get disconnected, you'll know why. This is, I have clients on HughesNet, and this is one of our trusted advisors with Technology Source. And Tim V, as in Victor, wants to know if the platform would work well with the available speed from HughesNet.
When you say the platform, which platform are we talking about?
The platform. I'm wondering if he means as one of the internet points for the Wi-Fi or for the
SD-WAN.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're talking about SD-WAN, it shouldn't be a problem, right? It really shouldn't. So, but if you're talking about Lonnie's segment of the business, unified communications, satellite-based stuff can be challenging. I mean,
Yeah.
the outside of the envelope, depending on who you talk to, I was a voice guy for a long time. In my experience with voice over IP, when you get north of about 250 milliseconds, you're on really thin ice. And some providers set the threshold lower than that. I've never heard anyone say it'll work beyond 300 milliseconds. So a satellite-based communications path can be problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Up here in the mountains, we're forced with that.
Yeah.
So.
And Lonnie, I'm sure you've got something to add there. I
let me
apologize.
add just a tiny bit of color to that because I think it's important, right? Will the SD-WAN solution help with that? The answer is absolutely.
Yeah.
Will it solve the problem? That's a different issue, like what Franz was pointing to, right? So if you're looking at, accelerating traffic, delineating traffic, things of that nature, that's exactly down what Franz was speaking to, right? So if you're having congestion issues or bandwidth constraints of some sort, then it'll certainly help with the issue. Will it solve the problem? That's yet to be seen. But yeah.
Kind of depends on what the problem is, right? What is it you're specifically trying to solve for? But yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
And so John B has a question. John, as in Bravo, what types of environments do you come across where clients have the desire to co-manage the network? Any specific environments that would be? And John is an advisor with Technology Source.
Yeah, in my experience, that is most common among the larger, more evolved IT organizations. One of the reasons that a lot of companies are nervous about bringing in a managed service provider like us is because they give up the keys, right? If we're providing the gear and we're managing it, they may get read, but they won't get write. You know what I mean? So we changed that. We turned that up on its head by offering co-administration. So, but again, to your specific question, I think that opportunity or that attraction is going to be more felt by the large enterprise with a seasoned IT staff.
Yeah, Sonia, I think it comes down to either A, you don't have the time or expertise, right? There's one category for it, right? That's the most common one that we run into is, the IT folks are more burdened now than ever with all these different things they have to take care of. So if they're looking at someone to literally take this off their hands, which happens, quite often, right? Even though they may, in some cases, have the technical capabilities or wherewithal to do it, right? So it depends. I mean, Franz gave a great answer. We're here to help as you see fit, either in a fully managed or in a co-managed aspect, right? So, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, and to all of our participants today, I apologize. We have probably 70 questions left. We're not going to get to them. We have 1 minute left. So we can take those offline. Like I said, please reach out to me. Let me see if I can share a slide with my contact information in case there's anyone who wants to do that. Yay, here it is. So here's my contact information. I'll try to make it a little bigger for those with, okay, there we go. There's my contact information, that's my email. So reach out to me if you want to, or the advisors that invited you today, and we will hook you up with these gentlemen and get some time on their calendars. to go over all those great questions that you had. I will go ahead and do our drawing, but first, would you like to say any last words, Lonnie, Kevin, or Franz? Thanks for being here today. Nope.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for attending, and if you ever need anything, we're happy to help you, whether we can solve your problem or point you in the right direction. We're happy to have the conversation.
Yeah, and I'll echo that and appreciate Sonia giving us the platform here.
Okay, well, you're welcome. And it looks like my internet has gone out, but I am on the landline here. I guess I need Masergy to solve my work from home internet issues. But I'm going to go ahead and do the drawing. You will have to trust that I am not looking at these. And the first one I have pulled from the hat is John B. John as in John Bravo. And that is for our $50 gift certificate from Masergy. So congratulations to John. Thanks for being here today. And thanks to all of our audience. And stay tuned. We will be back not next week, but the week after to talk about cybersecurity. So please do join us for that next Technology Source Virtual Roundtable. Thank you again to Lonnie and Kevin. We really appreciate having you guys and Franz, of course. Have a great rest of your week, and thanks again.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Sonia.
Great.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Cheers.